All right, welcome back, everybody. We're back for a 2 Minute Tuesday. It likely will be longer than 2 minutes because we have a ton of fun and we've been kind of on a hiatus during COVID. As with a lot of people, we've had a lot going on, but we're really excited to be back. I'm here with Judy Window, who's the Executive Director of the Morgan Franklin Fellowship. I'm Mike Cashin and I'm the Director of Operations, and I work directly with Judy. So we have this exciting event coming up around kind of Judy's lifelong love of learning. And it kind of came about from an article when I actually first started working with you, where a friend that had known you for a long time had sat you down for an interview that you really weren't sure what you were in for. But it ended up being this really cool piece about you specifically and your lifelong love of learning and the crazy path that it's taken you down. So Judy, can you tell us a little bit more about this and as we prep for our October 13th event?
Yeah, I don't want to give too much away for October or take away any of that fun. But when I'm thinking about this, it's like a movie, right? I think somebody wrote the story about Judy Window, whoever the heck that was, and interviewed me and took some of the things that I said and kind of looped it into this lovely story. So it kind of starts off and it's, oh, this little rebel Judy Window, or it was Judy Guild at the time, in high school, who, I don't change very much. Somebody told me I couldn't do something, so darn it, I was going to do it anyway. And so we started talking, and it just wraps around like I was supposed to be this my whole life. And what I was thinking about is kind of, that's the A roll of the story, the movie. That's the movie version. But what you don't see is the B roll that's on the floor, the C roll, the D roll, So it seems like a really lovely story, and it was so easy to get from here to there, but it actually isn't. And when I teach, I've done a lot of speaking and a lot of teaching about careers and thinking about your career, because I think when somebody goes into college or somebody's thinking about their career when they're younger, I'm going to be this. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to college for XYZ, so I'm going to be XYZ. And then you get out and you end up working, at Dunkin' Donuts or Walmart, or, you volunteer for something, or you work, you're supposed to be a writer, and you end up working in a bank. It's just not what you thought. But every single piece of what you're doing and what you're learning at the time, at that moment, will be written into the story of your life eventually. And I think you feel the same way, because your life has had a lot of iterations and changes over time, and you're looping around to do exactly what you told me the first time, well, actually the second time we met when we had coffee, that you were so interested in finance and that you love sitting down and talking about finance to all your friends. And look where you are now. And that was just over a cup of coffee when you and I didn't even know each other.
Yeah, the part that you left out was when you saw my background, you're like, oh my, I can relate to this person, because I've done a lot of stuff. But it's really amazing how you can learn something or have an experience that you don't think is translating into something, but then you have an experience down the road and you're like, oh wow, like this makes sense here. So your example of like you find yourself working at like a Dunkin' Donuts or in this big machine that is Walmart or some other large organization, you might think that it's monotonous and ridiculous and boring, but these are massive organizations that have figured out their process to be so efficient, and it works, and they make money, and they know how to like leverage their people. So like the level of efficiency that they have in place might translate over to something when you start a company or when you're in a role at a really small firm, and you might be able to be like, wow, there's some serious efficiency that we could add in here, but that came from your time as a cashier at Walmart. And it's just radical how that comes to be. And I'm sure you have tons of other things that come to mind, but.
And just you saying that, it just brought to mind a conversation that I had with my granddaughter, Kendall, who used to work for us at Morgan Franklin Fellowship. So she has some stuff behind her. She's learned some of this stuff. She's working for my husband and I at our restaurant now, and she's a server. And so I was talking to her because she's getting, of course, loads of money cash, right? What do you do with that? How do you claim that, Grandma? Well, how am I supposed to save this? I said, well, if you don't claim it and you want to go get an apartment, you've never made that money. So you can't count it. So say you make $35,000 a year counting your tips, but you're only counting what's going for your payroll. So maybe that's 15,000, maybe that's half. So you go get an apartment, you can only say that you're making $15,000. Or if you want to buy a house, you're not going to be eligible. So she started thinking, and I had a friend that worked up at the Mount Washington Hotel, and he wrote a book about, and I'm sorry, I don't remember what the name of the book is, but he wrote a book about how servers really are their own business. They own their own business. You have to market yourself. You have to think about what are your expenses. And I was talking to Kendall about it. What are your expenses as a server? Your clothes, your hair, how you look, how you carry yourself, how you market yourself, how you present yourself to people. All of those things are expenses that you can kind of think about in your life. That's running your own business. You could take that directly and apply it when you open your own company or you start working at a company that you're responsible for those things. So even being a server when you're young, when you're 16, 17 years old, really has direct application to opening up a business, because that's what you're doing basically. So it's really fun. Anyway, really fun.
Yeah, it's super fun. And that's part of the reason that it's so fun to get to work with you on a day-to-day, because we get to swap all kinds of different things, whether it's podcasts or articles or books or, experiences. And not to give the whole event away, as everybody can tell, we're pretty excited about this kind of topic. So this is a short preview to the awesomeness that is going to be Coffee and Conversations with Dave and Judy on October 13th at 9 a.m. You can learn more or grab the link to the event to register in the notes for this video. Thank you for joining us for what is probably closer to a 22-minute Tuesday. We'll look forward to seeing you at our next 2-Minute Tuesday. Thank you, Judy.
Thanks, bye. Bye.